Welcome. It's been a minute, but let's get straight into it. I'm looking at Euro USD. I'm starting off once again from the monthly time frame, just so that I can, catch you up to what's been happening and what my thoughts are at the moment. Currently, looking at the 12 months time frame, we can see that price obviously started pulling back. I've got an OB right here. Let's mark that one out. Okay, so we've got an OB right there, and essentially we can see that with how the way price has moved, right? Last year price pushed up. Obviously, it's respecting the double bottom right here. Price pushed up. This will be the top of the range. It then gave us a bullish engulfing candle last year. It left us with an OB, and then this year's candle started off the year by obviously pushing up and then taking out last year's highs, and now price is essentially reversing back from that level. Now, the way this price moved, obviously it looks like we still have more bullish movement to come, maybe to take out these highs right here. Maybe price wants to long term come into this OB and maybe complete that level, right? Because I mean there is imbalances right there, and we've got also an imbalance here at the bottom. No, actually, based on this, it's been cleared out. Okay, perfect. So based on this time frame, the only imbalance really that's left is there the top that might want to be taken out, but then also we've got the imbalance here, the bottom that might want to be taken out. And just looking at the nature of the candle, the way candles move, candles when a new candle opens up, the first move it makes a lot of times, not all the times, but a lot of the time, it's the fake move. So for me, that is prevalent with this yearly candle right now because price opened up and took out the previous year's high, and now we are sort of pulling back. And if it's going to continue with this move, I think we're going to tap into anywhere close to this OB. 6 months time frame, exact same thing. As we can see, this month is going to come, this candle on the 6 month is going to come to a close. I see that we do have obviously this fair value gap which it has created as well on this time frame. Let's just mark that one out. There we go, the FEG right there. Let me just change the color. So we have the FEG, we've got an OB on the higher time frame as well, and essentially we can see that price started off taking out that high. Essentially, this could have been a beautiful continuation candle to the upside. We haven't gotten that. We got the takeout. We're leaving a long wick. Price is currently bearish. We've got 27 days. We have a lot of room for price to just pull back before it wants to continue moving higher. That is just my perspective right now on the 6 months. Let's go to the 3 months. On the 3 months time frame, price action obviously is moving quite nicely for me personally, because why, we see that we have my favorite sort of pattern, which is the accumulation, the manipulation, and then the distribution to the upside. Price obviously was consolidating, it then made a fake breakout and then pushed all the way to the upside. But now, over the last year, price has been consolidating in this range, right? I mean, the last push it gave us was in April 2025, and then since last year, we've gotten these wicks to the upside, wicks to the downside. But the wick, which for me is the most, is one that stands out the most, is this wick here, which happened in January. That looks like a massive rejection for me. And obviously, we see it also closed out below the previous month's candle. This candle here has not yet closed above or below any of the previous 3 month candle. So right now it is rejecting. If it wants to continue rejecting, I think we could take out that candle's low as well. And so then that now is in line with my bias, which is short for now. Then I'm just marking out the OB right here, which we can see price has been struggling because we are in that OB. So it definitely plays a role within the slowing down of price. We've got the monthly time frame as well. We can see obviously the consolidation is prevalent. We can adjust this OB right here because we see that we have it right here at the top. We can see that the imbalance was there. The imbalance was beautifully tapped, and price then came all the way down. Now, looking at this price movement, how does markets move? If it's trending, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. That is for the most part how price and how markets move. Now we've got price, which gave us this fake out here. Let's fix that. Gave us this fake out, right? Well, gave us that low, gave us the fake out, boom, higher high. What do we want to see? A higher low, higher high, if this market wants to be bullish. Now, the fact that price is slowing down with a sort of rounded top vibe here tells me that maybe we're going to get a bit of a fall. How far this price is going to fall, I'm not 100% sure. I can't say for certain, but what I do know is that personally, I'm looking for short positions right now. In fact, I am short on EURUSD. I'm marking out this level because that is an FEG, that is an imbalance right there that I think may want to get filled later. There we've got another one which might want to be filled later. Now, how far this price is going to fall, nobody knows. Looking at how price has been moving, I think we're still due to come and take out this buy side liquidity right there. But also, we must understand that in order for price to push higher, we need to have liquidity. This tells me that right now we've run a bit dry, so we need to collect some power. Think of it as collecting power for the next move. In order to collect power, for example, here we had a consolidation. That was the highest point there, right? That was the highest point there. This was the lowest point here. And then price was just trading within this range, and then it collected its power from the bottom and then was able to push higher. Look at where price also went into. It went into this imbalance right here, right? It went into that imbalance right there and then started pushing all the way higher. So now what we need to understand is that we've got a multiple levels of imbalances. We've got one here, we've got one there. So price may likely try to take one of them. Now, for me personally, I'm not going to try and go all the way down there. I'm just looking for price to hit these lows, and then from there I will reconsider my position. I might leave a runner, a small runner, just to see how far we can push it. Other than that, I'm chilled. But also, what I need to understand, what we need to understand, is that this on the monthly time frame is still a consolidation. So price, if it does get back to this low, could easily then again bounce up because we are in sort of a consolidation period. Looking at the weekly time frame, this for me is where it became a little bit more clear, which gave me a bit more confidence in my short position. Because if you've looked at the previous posts on EURUSD, I've spoken about this because essentially we had another pattern there, the consolidation, right? Price trading within this range. Then we have a break, which is this candle here, outside of the range, which is the manipulation. Then we come back, we take out that low, we take out that low with solid closures below, and now we're making a lower high as it seems on the weekly time frame. So for me, that looks like this was our consolidation, that was our manipulation. Then we have a distribution, retracement, continuation. That is essentially the pattern in my head that I'm looking for. Now, looking at how that has moved, price came also into this OB right here and then started reversing. What for me started getting back interested again in this pair is simply the fact that we have, let me just do that, sorry. What got me interested again in Euro USD is this candle right here. Boom. That bearish engulfing candle which broke below the range. Because now we can see the pattern with Euro USD, right? Now we have a consolidation again. Price then breaks out below. So now we're consolidating again. Price definitely may want to move back, maybe consolidate, and then this was the manipulation and then the distribution to the upside. But however, I'm looking at the higher time frame bias as well and understanding that we've already received our distributions, we've already received our manipulations. So this was the manipulation. Now we have a market structure shift. We have price making a new high. This was the low that caused price to make a new high. We come and take out that strong low, make a new low. This, if this move was going to be strong, it should have taken out that high, which it never. And now we're reversing and we have that bearish engulfing candle right there. So what I'm looking for now is for price to continue. Where does the bearish engulfing also, what does it do? It breaks out of that range with a strong closure back below. And then looking at the weeks then after that, this was the week of the 18th, of May. Price then gives us a weak bearish candle, the week after that a weak bullish candle, and this is the new week which it coincides, which lines with a new month. And for me that looks like it is a recipe for short position, right? So on the daily time frame, nothing much to see. Essentially we just see that price obviously now gave us a leg down and then consolidated, and I'm just looking for continuation on that one. But then what really caught me interested was, and what gave me a lot more clarity for my short bias, was how the 4 hour was reacting. I had this level marked out right here. And what stood out for me, because at the time while I was analyzing this and looking for where we could potentially find shorts, the fact that we had price from this level make a new low, right? And then price starts consolidating. And then I was looking at price thinking that we have this high, we have this high, and we have this high. Three equal highs, beautifully just resisting that level. What I wanted to see was price take out that level, trade back within the range, and then I'm going to catch the move to the downside. That was it. Accumulation, manipulation, and potentially the distribution on this time frame right here. Now I'm not going lower than this because this is my trading time frame. This is where I found my entries. This is where I found my execution. And not to be too long, I know I've said that before, but price right now, just looking at how it was moving, price made this low, which then forced us to break out, right? So that was a strong move to the upside because it was able to break above these levels right here. Then we have this high pushing down, taking out this low, but not as strong yet because it never closed below. So that means that here we have a lot of orders, right? So with that being said, price breaks out but then closes back below, back above. On the 1 hour time frame, we definitely have candles closing outside, but that for me was enough because the fact that we just breached it meant that there is definitely a higher probability that we can continue, and for me, that is enough. Then we had this fair value gap, which I was looking at right there, and I set my sell limit order at that point at the beginning of the fair value gap, and my stop loss, I moved it above that wick. Why such a big stop loss? Because this is a swing trade, because I understand that we are outside of the range. I could have moved my stop loss maybe up there, but this is just a safer stop loss, and I was looking at risk to reward as well. Remember my targets? I'm targeting that low right there on the weekly. So this is a swing trade, might even turn into a a positional trade, and that is essentially what I've been looking at. And this is currently my position on Euro USD. Now, how do I manage this? What is my management plan? The first step for me, in order for me to feel like I have essentially started winning on this trade, is obviously to take exactly the trade as you planned it out. For me, I've done that. The second level, which is winning the trade, is how do I manage it? Do I manage it effectively? And that is, for me personally, I feel yes. I had this low marked in right here, and this low has been rejected. We see that it takes it out, but it rejects. My entry for me is part of my entry model criteria for the swing trade, which I was perfectly happy with. Then the other thing was I want to see price close outside of this range, which we got with that 4 hour candle. That then allows me to go to the next phase of my management plan, which is then to move my stop loss above the most recent highs. Now my stop loss is there. Now my risk is reduced aggressively, and I if we do hit stop loss, perfectly fine. I wouldn't feel any sort of way because I am following my plan. I'm following the process. I am not making it up as we go along. I'm not trading my P&L. I'm not looking at the profits. I'm not looking at the losses. I'm looking at the structure. I'm looking at how market is moving, and I'm making my decisions according to that, because every move that happens, every single candle that prints, I know more or less what I'm going to do without having to think about it or change my strategy. So now stop loss above there. Now what else do I notice? I've got this fair value gap right here. I've got this fair value gap in there. So I understand that Friday is NFP. I know that price could come back into the zone. But if it goes above that level, I don't want to be in this position anymore. So I'm happy with my stop loss there. I know Friday is NFP, so what that tells me is that there is a chance that price may come back and test that level before then or even after then. Who knows? But what I do know as well is that at this level, I want to see a commitment below. I want to see a commitment below this level. If we have price on the 4 hour time frame, no, nothing lower than that, 4 hour closes below, right? Then it is good for me to consider moving my stop loss then to break even, taking off complete risk on this trade. But let's say we get the closure outside of that range, right? But we still have this fair value gap, and it has happened before Friday, before NFP. I will not be adjusting my stop loss, right? I will be leaving it because then we could have that massive move of NFP where price then comes into the zone, takes out all the sellers, takes out the stop losses, and then starts dumping to the downside. What is the risk of that? That maybe it is a complete reversal and hits my stop loss, and then price reverse and pushes higher. If that's the case, that's fine because I'm accepting the risk on this trade because it is not a random risk. It is a much smaller risk than what I initially started with, and it is part of my plan. Everything is well executed, everything is going according to the plan. If it loses, it's part of the plan. I won't be shocked, I won't be surprised. It will be one of those things where I've planned for this, it's fine. The same way when winter comes around, you're not walking around in a shorts and a flip flops uh, in the snow. You're wearing warm clothes. So before winter comes, a lot of time you might need a jacket, you might need new boots, you might need new gloves, whatever the case to prepare yourself. I'm preparing in case we have price moving all the way up, and I can only stick to that and follow that plan. And that is it from me. Have a beautiful one. I'll be back with more trades later on if I see anything else. And yeah, be safe out there.